They thought their biggest challenge would be winning over the British public. They were wrong. Because according to palace whispers that exploded online last week, Meghan Markle never set her sights on the spare prince at all. The rumor claims she walked into Kensington Palace aiming straight for the future king, Prince William, only to pivot to Harry when the first plan fizzled. One sentence, spoken in a private drawing room and leaked by an unnamed aide, has set royal fans on fire. "She went for the crown before she went for my brother." Whether that quote is fact, half-truth, or full fantasy, it's already doing what Buckingham Palace dreads most, turning curiosity into doubt and doubt into outrage. Tonight, we're digging into the receipts, the reactions, and the ripple effect tearing at the House of Windsor's last fragile threads. Was Meghan's grand entrance a love story or a long game? Keep watching, because by the end of this video, you might never look at that picture-perfect 2018 wedding the same way again. Long before Meghan Markle ever set foot on a palace balcony, she was a Los Angeles kid with a notebook full of magazine cutouts. Friends from Immaculate Heart High School swear her locker door was plastered with printouts of Diana in the revenge dress and Kate's engagement shoot, sandwiched between quotes from Maya Angelou and audition schedules for school plays. At the time, nobody thought much about it. Every teenage girl had a plastered locker. But hindsight has a way of turning normal fandom into alleged foreshadowing. Fast forward to Northwestern University. While most communications majors spent junior year perfecting resumes, Meghan made a beeline for the study abroad program in the UK. Not London, but the less obvious, royals-adjacent city of Canterbury. Roommates recall weekend trips to Buckingham Palace gates, snapping photos through wrought iron bars, half joking that she'd be inside someday. One sorority sister remembers Meghan practicing a delicate curtsy in their dorm hallway. "If I ever meet the Queen, I don't want to wobble." Cute then, curious now. Her early acting grind in Toronto offered fresh proximity. Suits filmed a stone's throw from the expatriate social set, bankers, diplomats, and the polo crowd that summers in Windsor. By 2015, Meghan had squeezed her way onto the charity gala circuit, seated, thanks to a very strategic publicist, 2 tables away from Prince William's close polo friend, Tom Inc. Inskip. Mutual introductions followed. One stylist on the show remembers Meghan returning from a weekend jaunt positively glowing. "I just met the nicest British people. They know William." Another colleague claims she even tried toggling her filming schedule so she'd be free during Royal Ascot Week. Never mind that actors rarely set their own calendars. Then came The Tig, her lifestyle blog. Between recipes for almond milk lattes and reflections on self-empowerment, Meghan sprinkled tales of storybook romance, featuring castles, crowns, and the idea that modern fairy tales can be real if you believe hard enough. She posted a heartfelt tribute to Princess Diana on the anniversary of Diana's death, subtle to fans, glaring to critics. A few months later, she interviewed Princess Alia El Senussi, a Libyan royal, about balancing philanthropy and nobility. To her growing circle, it felt less like coincidence and more like calculated networking. Around the same time, Meghan's Toronto neighbor, an etiquette coach, says she was asked for a private tutorial on curtsies, table seating, and which fork to use when dining with a duke. The neighbor assumed it was prep for a role. Meghan allegedly winked and said, "It's for life, not for a part." Was it ambition or manifestation? Admirers call it vision boarding at its finest. A self-made woman willing her destiny into existence. Detractors insist it was groundwork laid for a very specific conquest. Any royal, but preferably the one directly in line after Charles. What both sides agree on is this. By the time she finally did meet Prince Harry at that 2016 blind date, Meghan was no naive newcomer to the intricacies of royal life. She had collected enough protocol tips, society connections, and Windsor trivia flashcards to make even a seasoned courtier raise an eyebrow. And here's the detail the rumor mill loves most. Multiple acquaintances say Meghan referred to William as the ultimate catch during a wine glass clinking girls' night, long before Harry's name ever entered the conversation. Maybe it was a throwaway comment, the kind you forget by morning. Or maybe, as skeptics argue, it was the moment the crown replaced the glass slipper in Meghan's personal fairy tale. But admiration can look like ambition if you're standing in the wrong corridor. And it was in one very famous corridor that Prince William allegedly felt something was off. They call it the green cushion moment because the sofa in Clarence House's morning room is upholstered in a deep emerald velvet older than half the royals who sit on it. The scene played out during Meghan's second official visit. An informal tea set up so she could quickly greet senior family members before heading to a charity event with Harry. William arrived first, tugging at his cufflinks, all business. Meghan slid in minutes later, wearing a cream wrap coat, the kind more Hollywood than Highgrove, and zeroed in on William like a missile locked to heat. Instead of the curtsy aides were quietly coaching her to perfect, she went full Los Angeles greeting. Arms flung wide, bright hi that bounced off the 18-foot ceiling. The future king froze. A split second, but enough for 3 equerries, a footman, and a centuries-old portrait of Queen Victoria to witness an etiquette car crash in real time. William's smile only half-formed. His body leaned back as though gravity itself objected. The resulting hug looked less like warmth and more like a hostage pose. He managed a tight, "Hello, Meghan," but the stiffness telegraphed down the corridor. Within an hour, staff WhatsApps were pinging. "New girl just bear hugged the air." The story ballooned. First it was a hug, then it was a lingering embrace, then someone swore they saw Meghan hold William's hand a fraction too long. By supper, a palace butler reported that William had retreated behind a massive copy of George Stubbs' racehorse painting to recompose. One protection officer later joked that he couldn't decide which was whiter, the heir's face or the Victorian plaster on the walls. Hugs aren't crimes, and plenty of visitors misjudge royal personal space, but the monarchy dines on symbolism, and that moment became a buffet. Was Meghan's hug innocent California sunshine, or a calculated test of boundaries? Days later, a private secretary overheard William mutter that courtesy is being stretched to the limit. Aides repeated it. Tabloids twisted it into, she targeted William. The green cushion moment mutated from awkward hug to alleged flirtation, and every retelling added a new layer of intrigue to a story still unraveling 6 years later. From that uneasy embrace sprouted a warning, one brother to another, that would shift the balance of loyalty inside Kensington Palace forever. Nottingham, 1 December 2017. Their first joint walkabout after Harry and Meghan's whirlwind engagement went public. Crowds 3 deep roared, camera shutters stuttered like helicopter blades, and for a moment, it looked as if the House of Windsor had found its next Diana-sized shot of adrenaline. But inside the blacked-out Jaguar that ferried the brothers home, the temperature dropped fast. According to a senior protection officer riding shotgun, Prince William opened with a line so measured it sounded rehearsed. "Slow is smooth, and smooth becomes fast. You might consider that, Harold." Harry, already designing save-the-date cards in his head, bristled. He fired back that Meghan was a natural and said William's caution smacked of snobbery. A terse silence followed, broken only by the tick of William's Breitling. Later that night, in the cramped kitchen of Nottingham Cottage, William tried again, this time without an audience. Palace insiders say he urged Harry to look for patterns, not moments, suggesting that Meghan's eagerness to accelerate introductions, charity launches, and press briefings felt less like enthusiasm and more like a strategic sprint. Harry allegedly slammed a cabinet door and replied, "You're listening to courtiers, not to me." 3 weeks on, the brothers met Charles at Clarence House for a pre-Christmas planning session. Staff expected champagne toasts. Instead, they got William and Harry seated meters apart, tension thick enough to knot a silver spoon. Charles reportedly told aides afterward that the Wales boys need air. By Boxing Day, they were speaking only through private secretaries. Then came the February 2018 Suits cast reunion dinner at the Palace Gardens. Harry glowing, Meghan radiant, William cool. Eyewitnesses recall William pulling Harry aside near a marble urn shaped like a phoenix. The conversation was short, voices low, but urgent. Lip readers hired by tabloids later claimed William said, "I hope you know what you're doing." True or not, the quote headlined the next morning's gossip columns. Fast forward to the infamous dog bowl shove Harry describes in Spare. An argument over Meghan, a shattered necklace, and a fractured brotherhood. Critics now re-examine that scene through this earlier lens. Was the push frustration over a meddling sister-in-law, or the climax of a warning Harry refused to hear? Either way, what began as brotherly advice metastasized into a rift so wide that even a Platinum Jubilee balcony couldn't bridge it. And every time the story of that Jaguar conversation resurfaces, public sympathy tilts. Some toward William, the protective heir, others toward Harry, the besotted rebel. Yet it wasn't only the brothers feeling the aftershocks. Just down the corridor, two future queens were headed for a collision that the tabloids would feast on for years. The bridesmaid dress drama was once just another entry in the palace's long ledger of who made who cry tabloid squabbles. 2018, early May, only days before the Windsor wedding. Inside apartment 1A at Kensington Palace, bolts of Givenchy silk and tiny Charlotte-sized ballet flats littered the sofa. Tailors pinned, flower girls fidgeted, and two future queens circled each other like swans, with switchblades hidden under their wings. Back then, the story went like this. Kate, fatigued and fragile after welcoming baby Louis, was reduced to tears when Meghan allegedly barked that the dresses didn't fit her exacting Hollywood standards. Meghan later flipped the script on Oprah. Actually, she made me cry. For years, the public treated it as a petty footnote. Lace, hems, hormones, nothing to see here. But drop the new allegation that Meghan once angled for William into that fitting room, and the atmosphere curdles into something far more combustible. Imagine Kate, protective of both her newborn and her throne-to-be, clocking every side-eye, every too familiar grin her future sister-in-law aimed at William during joint rehearsals. Add the stress of couture deadlines, a Globe film ceremony, and paparazzi camping outside the palace gates, and suddenly, a minor squabble over hemlines morphs into a turf war for the heart of the monarchy. Witnesses remember Kate exiting the nursery suite, cheeks flushed, murmuring only, "That is not how we do things here." Staff say Meghan followed moments later, eyes bright but unshed tears glazing her lashes, whispering to Jessica Mulroney on speakerphone, "They're iced out, Jess." Totally iced. One seamstress claims she saw William pause outside the doorway, hesitate, then continue past without a word. Proof, she insists, that he was steering clear of collateral damage. Days later, Kate reportedly dispatched a handwritten apology note, along with a bouquet of sweet peas, a diplomatic olive branch disguised as florals. Meghan framed the note, displaying it in Frogmore Cottage like a trophy of vindication. But palace insiders whisper that the apology was less remorse and more risk management. Kate protecting the crown from whispers that she, not protocol, was triggering the tension. In retrospect, the so-called dress incident now reads like the perfect microdrama. Couture fabric as proxy for royal hierarchy, tears masking territorial lines, and William positioned at the fulcrum. One wrong comment from him capable of detonating the whole silk-stitched powder keg. And the public, kept largely in the dark, filled the vacuum with whichever narrative best suited their loyalties. Kate, the bullied new mother, or Meghan, the outsider under siege. While the palace seamstresses packed away their pins, the media machines were only just warming up, ready to spin one private altercation into a global feeding frenzy that no Windsor statement could silence. Day-by-day amplification. Day 1. The spark. A single 38-word Facebook post appears in Royal Watchers Unfiltered, a private group with roughly 42K members. The author, screen name CorgiLove94, profile picture of a teacup, writes, "Close friend at KP says William confessed Meghan went for the crown before Harry. Can't share source, but trust me, it's explosive." No screenshots, no receipts, just a claim. Yet 600 wow reactions follow in 3 hours. The algorithm flags the thread highly engaging and starts auto-suggesting it to the group's lurkers. Day 2. Screenshot culture. A Reddit user cross-posts the Facebook text under Royals Gossip with the headline, "Meghan wanted the king, not the spare?" Redditors start digging. One finds a 2014 blog comment where Meghan called William classic prince material. Context lighthearted, but suddenly labeled evidence. Upvotes pushed the thread onto Reddit's popular front page. 1.4 million people see the title even if they never click. Day 3. The YouTube tea tsunami. 10 mid-tier commentary channels drop videos within 24 hours. Their thumbnails? William looking shocked. Meghan ringed in neon yellow and bold text like she wanted him. Average video length 9 minutes 58 seconds, just shy of the 10-minute mark needed for extra mid-roll ads. Together, they rack up 510K views in a single afternoon. YouTube's suggested panel starts chaining them together, turning one watch into an hour-long rabbit hole. Day 4. Tabloid validation loop. A mid-market tabloid, hungry for clicks but wary of libel, publishes, "Did Duchess set sights on William first?" Internet explodes with claims. No new reporting, but the headline alone grants the rumor mainstream legitimacy. TV breakfast shows quote the article. "We're just reporting what's out there," giving the story free airtime in front of 3 million half-awake commuters. Day 5. Memification. Twitter, now X, trends crown chaser. Side-by-side gifs of Meghan hugging random co-stars captioned, "Target acquired." TikTokers splice Meghan's Suits clips with audio of Beyoncé's Upgrade You, insinuating motive. Each meme abstracts the claim further from its origin, making it pop culture shorthand rather than a checkable fact. Why rumors stick in the digital age? Algorithmic fuel. Platforms reward watch time and engagement, not accuracy. A spicy, unverified claim triggers curiosity spikes that calm fact checks can't match. Screenshot proof fallacy. A JPEG of a WhatsApp chat, easily faked, travels faster than a 3,000-word debunk. Viewers assume, if there's a screenshot, it must be real. Confirmation bias. Crown loyalists reshare to condemn Meghan. Anti-monarchists reshare to bash stuffy William. Both camps amplify the same rumor for opposite reasons. Official silence vacuum. Kensington Palace's no-comment policy, designed to kill gossip, paradoxically fertilizes it. In absence of denial, speculation feels like revelation. Monetization incentive. Each new spin, podcast episode, TikTok stitch, monetized tweet earns someone ad revenue. Truth doesn't pay as consistently as intrigue. Real-world impact sentiment shift charts. Social listening firm Largo Analytics tracked a 17% drop in positive Meghan mentions within 72 hours of the rumor spiking, while neutral mentions of William flipped 9% towards sympathetic. Brand fallout. A luxury skincare label slated to announce Meghan as ambassador quietly postpones the campaign. PR insiders cite timeline sensitivity. Policy ripples. 2 MPs revived dormant proposals to restrict royal titles for non-working family members, citing public concern over character. While the algorithms feasted, Meghan stayed silent, but William's camp began floating a plan that could reshape royal titles forever. For a woman who once weaponized every legal avenue at her disposal, suing the Mail on Sunday for publishing a father-daughter letter, firing off copyright claims over a single paparazzi photo, forcing UK broadcasters to apologize for racially charged commentary, Meghan Markle's response to the "Wanted William First" saga has been nothing. No Instagram story, no Archwell press release, no lawyer's letter marked strictly private and confidential. To royal watchers who know her media footprint, the quiet is deafening. A track record of swift retaliation. 2019, within 48 hours of Piers Morgan suggesting she ghosted friends, Meghan's team demanded ITV retract the segment. 2020, when a U.S. paparazzo flew a drone over Tyler Perry's Beverly Hills yard, Archwell's counsel filed for a restraining order before local breakfast TV had even run the clip. 2021-22, her lawyers at Schillings issued notice to publishers blasts anytime tabloids hinted that the bench sales were soft. Given that background, royal aides say Meghan's current silence is strategic, not subdued. A Netflix marketing consultant explains why. When the rumor itself boosts watch time on royal content, pushing back only oxygenates it. Better to monetize the curiosity than litigate it. Behind closed doors at Archewell. Sources close to Archewell's Santa Barbara HQ paint a picture of war room diplomacy, crisis PR decks labeled Plan Shield, sentiment graphs updating hourly, and a locked cabinet containing draft statements, each tagged, "Release only if Kensington names us directly." One advisor reportedly argued for an immediate video rebuttal. Another warned Harry that appearing defensive would validate William's alleged claim. The tiebreaker, insiders say, was Spotify's brutal exit memo, citing talent not delivering. No one wants another brand partnership walking because of online blowback. Silence, then, becomes a form of cost control. William's constitutional chessboard. On the other side of the Atlantic, courtiers in Clarence House are gaming out something far more permanent than PR spin. Stripping Harry and Meghan of their HRH styles once Charles's reign gives way to William's. The blueprint borrows from two recent precedents. Prince Andrew, 2022, titles retained but barred from public duty after the Giuffre settlement. Diana, Princess of Wales, 1996. HRH removed post-divorce via letters patent signed by Elizabeth II. Legal advisors say a future King William could draft new letters patent in under a week, parliamentary approval optional, but politically helpful. Removing HRHs would curb the Sussexes' ability to leverage royal branding in Netflix or Penguin Random House deals. Polling by YouGov shows 54% of UK respondents would support or strongly support the move if Harry continues commercial projects. William's office denies any active petition, yet the rumor the paperwork is sitting in a drawer has become its own gravitational force, sucking public sympathy toward the heir apparent. Mutually assured distraction. Royal commentators describe the current standoff as MAD, mutually assured distraction. Meghan stays silent to protect Archewell's monetizable goodwill. William stays silent to avoid looking vindictive before his father's reign even settles. Meanwhile, every 24-hour news cycle repeats the question, pumping ad revenue for networks and YouTubers alike. If Meghan speaks, she risks providing fresh sound bites that tabloids can weaponize and foregrounding a narrative she wants forgotten by the time her next Netflix series drops. If William acts, he legitimizes claims of a palace vendetta, potentially turning Meghan into a martyr for anti-monarchists worldwide. For now, the quiet is their shared middle ground, an uneasy ceasefire masking preparations for the next volley. But amid this silent chess game, it's Prince Harry, ever the man in the middle, who stands to lose the most if the rumor sticks. Prince Harry once joked he was the spare wheel nobody invited to the party. The line feels prophetic now. Each new headline claiming Meghan first set her sights on William pins him between two immovable forces. On one side stands his public vow to defend his wife, a pledge repeated from Oprah's garden to every podcast microphone. On the other side is a lifetime of training that says the heir must never be harmed, because William's reputation is braided into the crown itself. The tighter the rumor coils around Meghan's motives, the more those promises clash. Friends say the mental whiplash shows hour by hour. Some mornings, Harry laughs the story off as tabloid rubbish. By nightfall, he reruns early memories, wondering whether a stray compliment Meghan once gave William was just polite or something sharper. The confidants who once cooled his spirals, army mates with pints in pub corners, now live an ocean away. His nearest circle is Meghan's California cohort of strategists, mindfulness coaches, and streaming platform executives. People whose livelihoods rise and fall with brand Sussex. Their reassurance doubles as job security, deepening the echo chamber. The rumor also reignites the wound he thought he left in London, the label of spare. Biographers insisted that moving abroad freed him from the role. Now the internet whispers that he might have been Plan B if Plan A, William, refused Meghan's alleged overtures. That sting, say observers, cuts deeper than any old grievance over birth order. Money adds another layer. Netflix reportedly wants fresh Sussex narratives to justify its $100 million deal. If Harry addresses the rumor now, he burns content the streamer would rather capture on camera later. Corporate clients book him for authenticity and mental health advocacy. Doubts about the marriage tarnish that image. And sponsors hate soap opera chaos. Publishers still hold an option on a follow-up to spare, and every unanswered whisper forces the next manuscript to choose. Ignore the rumor and look evasive, or confront it and reopen palace wounds. Crisis consultants frame his options in brutal arithmetic. A public denial would smother speculation for a moment, but risk catastrophic credibility if leaked evidence ever contradicted him. Silence starves the fire, but only if William's camp stays quiet too, and there is no guarantee of that. A private outreach to his brother might kill the story at its source, yet any leaked text or call summary could explode across front pages and podcasts within an hour. Media strategists rank scandals on a 10-point earthquake scale. A routine tabloid fib scores a 3, Meghan's 2020 Mail on Sunday trial peaked at 6. This allegation sits near 8.5 because it undermines the Sussex marriage brand, pits Harry against the heir, and feeds a meme machine that paints him as Plan B Prince. Each silent day edges the number closer to a 10, where public perception hardens and no future clarification can pry it loose. Behind the metrics is a man who watched his mother chased through a Paris tunnel for less attention than this rumor currently enjoys. Night staff at Montecito say Harry sometimes paces the garden at 3 a.m., earbuds blaring meditation tracks, while push alerts light up the phone in his hand. One confidant heard him mutter, "History can't repeat. Won't let it," before switching the screen dark. Yet, history does seem to repeat. The global appetite for royal drama is limitless, and Harry, no matter how Californian his life appears, is still a Windsor by blood. In trying to shield his wife from one institution's shadow, he may have stepped into a spotlight even brighter and far less forgiving. All eyes now drift back to Buckingham, where a single whispered proposal could turn rumor into constitutional fact, stripping HRH titles and rewriting the royal roster forever. Rumors have always buzzed around Buckingham like bees in lavender, but this one feels different. It cuts at the central myth that keeps the monarchy standing, that love, duty, and lineage line up in neat succession. If Meghan truly angled for William first, then the fairy tale wedding in St. George's Chapel morphs into high-stakes chess, and every affectionate glance captured by telephoto lens becomes possible misdirection. In that telling, William transforms from genial brother-in-law into the mark who sidestepped a plot. Harry shrinks from rebel prince to consolation prize, and Kate shifts from peacemaker to sentinel guarding a bloodline throne. The public may forgive extravagance, aloofness, even the occasional scandal. What it rarely forgives is feeling duped. Inside the palaces, silence spreads like plastic sheeting before a paint job. Courtiers whisper that any official comment, confirming or denying, would drag the crown into a credibility war it can't win. If the story is false, the palace must prove a negative in an age that mistrusts institutions. If even a shard is true, decades of carefully varnished romance collapse overnight. The Queen Consort tries to steady Charles, Charles tries to steady William. William tries to steady the entire edifice. Yet every online refresh spawns another edit, another meme, another grainy clip of Meghan hugging someone who looks vaguely princely. Perception becomes the mortar of monarchy, and the mortar is cracking. Across the Atlantic, Montecito strategists weigh a different crisis map. Disprove the rumor, and Meghan risks appearing defensive, re-airing the grievances that already weary Netflix viewers. Ignore it, and the vacuum pulls every conspiracy theory into orbit. The Sussex brand, part humanitarian crusade, part Hollywood IP, relies on the couple's authenticity. Chip away at the authenticity and lucrative contracts wobble. Strip the HRH titles, as some Tory backbenchers urge, and the wobble turns into a nosedive. Yet, stripping titles carries risk for William too. Voters could see it as petty punishment, proof the firm devours its own when challenged. Meanwhile, Westminster sniffs opportunity. MPs who resent royal tax exemptions float fresh oversight bills. Republican groups cite the scandal as Exhibit A that bloodlines make fragile foundations for a head of state. Each parliamentary speech, Each late-night talk show monologue nudges the once unthinkable, an elected British president 1 millimeter closer to plausible. Monarchies do not fall in a single storm. They erode when drizzle never stops. The next move belongs to no one and everyone. A palace aide who finally leaks a WhatsApp chat, a Netflix editor who decides the scandal is good television, a backbencher who tables a surprise motion about royal titles. If nothing breaks, the rumor may harden into folklore, the kind tour guides recite outside Kensington. They say she wanted the heir, settled for the spare, and nearly toppled them all. If something does break, an email, a diary entry, a stray microphone, it could reset public faith or detonate it. So the crown waits. Harry paces. Meghan calculates. William clenches jaw to keep from comment, and the world scrolls on. One rumor has rearranged alliances, revived Republican chatter, and placed a centuries-old institution on the sharp end of a question it rarely has to answer. What happens if the story we've been telling ourselves was never true? The kingdom holds its breath. One statement, one document, one televised interview could push the balance either way. Until then, the throne remains upright. But every new click, every share, every whispered, "Did you hear?" nudges it a fraction closer to the edge. A single unverified quote, "She went for the crown," has ignited decades-old anxieties about love, power, and inheritance. If it's false, then the modern royal machine is once again destroying itself by refusing to extinguish gossip. If it's true, the House of Windsor faces a betrayal narrative darker than any season of The Crown. For William, confirmation would justify every caution he ever voiced and cement Kate as the monarchy's steadfast shield. For Harry, it would recast him as the consolation prize in his own romance. And for Meghan, it would shatter the feminist fairy tale brand she's cultivated from Toronto to Montecito. As the palace keeps silent and the internet keeps shouting, only one thing is certain. The future of Britain's most famous family now hangs on how, or if, they answer a question no royal aide dared even whisper a decade ago. Did Meghan Markle target the crown before she ever loved the prince? Stay tuned, because the next royal statement, or lack of one, may rewrite history in real time.